The regeneration chamber hummed faintly, though to Callum's ears it might as well have been roaring. His own body stood before him, shrouded in the semi-opaque glow of the chamber's atmosphere, its outline faintly distorted by the moisture clinging to the glass. This was his second self, a perfect biological duplicate, as real as the person staring at it. And yet it wasn't him. Not yet. Dr. Yana Green tapped at the tablet in her hands, her voice a precise monotone. 3 minutes to neural mapping sync. Once your memories and cognitive patterns are transferred, this will become your primary vessel. Callum didn't respond immediately. He stared at the duplicate's expressionless face, its eyes closed as if in sleep. It looked smaller than it should have. Or maybe he felt diminished standing in front of it. "You okay, Callum?" Yana asked, her gaze flicking to him over the rim of her glasses. "Yeah," he lied. "Just thinking." He wasn't sure what he was thinking exactly. Nervousness, sure, a little fear, but also something less articulate, something bigger. He had signed the contract knowing what it entailed: a full-body duplication, neural data mapping, and consciousness transfer. A fresh start, they'd called it. Freedom from a failing body riddled with radiation scars and the creeping entropy of his original DNA. But standing here, facing this version of himself, the process felt less like a fresh start and more like a curtain drop. "What happens to the old me?" Callum asked. His voice felt flat. Yana glanced up again, pausing her work. "We've gone over this. Your current body will be decommissioned once we confirm the transfer." "Decommission?" he snorted. "Like a piece of hardware." "It's not as cold as it sounds. Think of it like shedding skin. The essence of who you are moves forward. The rest is just cells." He nodded, though her words didn't land quite right. "You ever done this?" Yana hesitated. That was enough of an answer. Callum sat in the sterile room adjacent to the chamber, waiting. Yana's assistant, a young tech with tired eyes, had explained that the neural scan took time, an hour, sometimes more. He was supposed to relax, let the machines do their work. The assistant hadn't mentioned the waiting would make his skin crawl. Through the glass wall, he could see his duplicate suspended in its fluid cocoon. It was still, like a mannequin, floating in some bizarre art installation. Its body, the exact replica of his own, minus the scars and years of wear, looked alien in its perfection. He leaned closer to the glass, his breath fogging a patch of it. "What's it like in there?" he muttered to no one. "I wouldn't know," a voice said behind him. Callum turned sharply. Yana stood in the doorway, tablet still in hand. "You're supposed to be resting," she said, though her tone lacked any real chastisement. She stepped into the room and leaned against the console beside him. "Hard to relax when you're watching your replacement float around in a tank." "It's not a replacement," Yana said. "It's you. That's what you keep saying." She didn't argue. For a moment, they both watched the figure in the chamber. "Do you ever worry," Callum said, "that it's not really me in there? That it's just something that thinks it's me?" Yana frowned. "That's a philosophical question, Callum. We deal in biology and data here." "Yeah, well, biology and data don't have an answer for this." He gestured at the chamber. "What if that thing wakes up thinking it's me, but I'm still in here? What if I just die and it gets to go on pretending?" Yana was silent for a moment, then said, "The transfer protocol has been refined over decades. Your cognitive continuity is seamless. You won't experience a break." He looked at her. "But you don't really know, do you?" She met his gaze, but didn't answer. The countdown began with a soft chime. Callum stood in the transfer bay, the chamber now drained of its fluid. The duplicate stood upright, strapped into a vertical harness, its chest rising and falling in rhythmic breaths. Its eyes were still closed, though now it seemed alive in a way that made Callum's skin itch. "Final alignment in progress," Yana said, her voice clipped. "Please remain still." Callum stood on the circular platform opposite his double, wires trailing from electrodes on his scalp to the machinery overhead. His heart raced as the system's AI announced each stage of the process. Neural map locked. Cognitive synchronization at 85%, 90%, 95%. "Is it supposed to hurt?" he asked. "You might feel disorientation," Yana said. "Nothing lasting." The AI chirped. "Synchronization complete. Commencing transfer." The pain came sharp and sudden, a lightning strike behind his eyes. He staggered but caught himself, gripping the platform railing. His vision blurred, the room tilting and shimmering as if the walls themselves were vibrating. He blinked, and then nothing. When Callum opened his eyes, the first thing he noticed was how clear everything looked. The room was sharper, brighter, like someone had adjusted the focus on a camera lens. He turned his head and saw Yana standing at the console, her face unreadable. "How do you feel?" she asked. Callum paused, searching for an answer. His body felt strange, lighter, stronger. He flexed his fingers, marveling at the smoothness of the motion. "Good," he said. His voice sounded normal, though the resonance was slightly off. "Really good," Yana nodded. "That's expected. Enhanced tissue integrity and neural conductivity. You're operating at peak human capacity." He stepped down from the platform, testing his balance. It was effortless, as if his muscles responded before he even finished thinking about the movements. "So, it worked." Yana gestured to the chamber. "See for yourself." Callum turned. His original body was still strapped into the harness, slumped and motionless. Its chest no longer rose and fell. Its skin looked pallid under the fluorescent lights. "Decommissioned," he murmured. It's a shell now," Yana said. "You've moved forward." He stared at the body, his body. It looked so empty, like a suit someone had forgotten to put on. His stomach churned. "You all right?" Yana asked. Callum didn't answer. Instead, he turned back to the glass wall and caught his reflection. His new reflection. It looked like him, sure. But something about the way it moved, the way the eyes darted too quickly, made his chest tighten. "Yeah," he said finally, though he wasn't sure he believed it. "I'm fine." This has been Two for None, prompted and edited by Jeff Weber. Thank you for listening.